There is something about a campsite at night, the way the tree line swallows the dark, the way sound carries differently than it should, that reminds you how small you actually are. Tonight I have 3 stories sent in by viewers who went into the woods and came back changed. The third story, I want to warn you about the third story. It was submitted by a man who still doesn't know if what he saw was a person. Most people who hear it stop sleeping with the window open. Stay with me. The other tent. I want to be clear about something before I start. I am not someone who scares easily. I spent 11 years as a wildland firefighter in eastern Oregon, and I've slept in places most people wouldn't walk through in daylight. What happened at Wallowa Lake in September of 2019 doesn't fit neatly into anything I understood before that night. My wife, Dana, and I drove up from Boise on a Friday. It was late September, that window after the summer crowds leave but before the cold really sets in. We had a site at the south end of the campground, right where the trees get thick and the trail curves away from the main loop. Site 34. I remember the number because I've looked it up a dozen times since. We set up just before dusk. Dana made pasta on the camp stove. We had 1 glass of wine each, I want to be specific about that, and we were in the tent by 9:30. It was cold. Maybe 40 degrees. The kind of cold that makes the sleeping bag feel like a decision. I woke up at 2:14 a.m. I know because I checked my watch. There was no sound that woke me. That was the first thing that felt wrong. The campground was completely silent. No wind. No insects. No other campers shifting in their sleep. I lay still for a moment. Then I heard the zipper. Not our zipper. It was close, maybe 20 feet away, and it was slow. Deliberate. The sound of someone trying very hard not to make a sound. I sat up. Dana was asleep beside me. I unzipped our tent maybe 2 inches and looked out. There was a tent there. Right at the edge of our site, under the pines. A small dome tent, dark green, and as I watched, something moved inside it. A shape pressing against the fabric from within. Slowly. The way a shoulder moves when someone rolls over. We hadn't heard anyone set up. We hadn't seen a car. The site next to ours, Site 33, had been empty when we arrived and the road in had a chain across it after 7 p.m. I'd seen the sign myself. I watched that tent for a long time. The shape didn't move again. I told myself it was a late arrival. Someone who'd hiked in. I told myself that until I believed it enough to lie back down. In the morning, the tent was gone. Not packed up, gone. No flattened grass. No scuff marks in the dirt. The pine needles where it had stood were completely undisturbed. Dana hadn't heard anything. I went to the camp host that morning and asked about Site 33. She looked at her clipboard for a long moment. She said that site had been closed since July. A family had reported a disturbance there. She used the word disturbance, and the campground had quietly taken it off the reservation system. I asked what kind of disturbance. She looked at me and then looked at her clipboard again. She said she wasn't sure she had that information. We drove home that afternoon. I have not been back to that campground. I don't think I ever will be. Some things can be explained in the morning light, but the next person who wrote in never found an explanation that held up. He said he watched me sleep. I solo camp a lot. I'm a high school biology teacher in rural Vermont, Caledonia County, and summers are long and I fill them with backcountry trips. I've done it for 12 years without incident. Last July I was 3 days into a week-long loop in the Northeast Kingdom, up near Norton Pond. Remote country. You can go all day without seeing another person. On day 3 I set up camp on a flat shelf above a creek, filtered water, made dinner, watched the light go down. By 8:30 I was in my sleeping bag with a book. Routine. All of it routine. I heard him at maybe 10 o'clock. Footsteps, real ones, heavy, the sound of boots on dry leaves, coming up the slope toward my campsite. I zipped my bag down slowly and sat up. A man emerged from the tree line. He was maybe 50. Heavy flannel shirt. A small day pack. He had a headlamp, but it was switched off, and he was navigating by the light of my lantern from 30 feet away. He smiled when he saw me looking at him. A calm smile, like he'd been expected. He asked if he could sit for a minute. Said he was turned around. I said yes. Because what do? You say yes. He sat on a log across from me and we talked for maybe 20 minutes. He said he was hunting, though there's no hunting season in July in Vermont, and I noted that and said nothing. He said he had a truck on the fire road about 2 miles east. He was friendly. Normal. He asked me what I did for work and I told him. Then he asked how long I'd been camped at this spot. I said since around 4. He nodded slowly. He said, and I'm going to quote this as accurately as I can, he said, "Yeah, I passed through here around noon. You weren't here yet. I came back through around 5 and you were setting up." He paused. And then I came back a couple more times after dark. He said it pleasantly. The same tone as everything else. I didn't say anything. He stood up, said it was good talking, and walked back into the tree line. I did not sleep. I broke camp at 3 in the morning and hiked out by headlamp 7 miles in the dark on a trail I didn't fully know. I turned my ankle twice. I didn't stop. When I got to the trailhead there was one other vehicle in the lot besides mine. A blue pickup. No plates. I've thought about that phrase many times since then. A couple more times after dark. The casual ease of it. Like he was describing something ordinary. Like he'd done it before and expected it to continue. I haven't done a solo trip since. I keep telling myself I will. I keep not doing it. Children notice things. Adults learn to stop noticing. The final story makes you wonder which one of those is actually the problem. What my daughter drew in the morning. My name is Marcus. I'm a logistics coordinator in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I want to start by saying that I am a practical person. I don't embellish. I've turned this over for 2 years trying to find a practical explanation. I have not found it. The summer of 2022, my wife Carla and I took our 2 kids camping at Big South Fork, the national river and recreation area in the northern part of the state. Our daughter Iris was 6. Our son Caleb was 9. We had a nice drive up, got there in the afternoon, set up a good site. The kids were happy. Everything was normal. First night passed without incident. The second night, Iris woke up crying at around 1 in the morning. She does this sometimes, night terrors, the pediatric Ian called them. Carla got up with her. I heard them talking quietly, Iris settling back down. It lasted maybe 15 minutes. Then quiet. In the morning, Iris was fine. Cheerful. She asked for her crayons right after breakfast, she always draws in the morning, and sat at the picnic table while Carla and I had coffee. After about 10 minutes she brought me her drawing. I want to be careful describing this. She had drawn our campsite. From above. You could see the tent, the fire ring, the picnic table, our car. She'd drawn trees around the perimeter in that way kids do, simple, round-topped. She'd drawn 4 figures inside the tent. Our family. And she had drawn a 5th figure outside the tent. It was standing at the edge of the tree line. She'd used the black crayon for it. Solid black, no features, standing upright. I asked her what that was. She looked at it for a moment, her head tilted. She said it was the man who watched us at night. I kept my voice very steady. I asked her what she meant. She said he was there the first night and the second night. She said he stood very still by the trees. She said she could see him from the mesh window of the tent when she woke up scared. I asked if she'd seen his face. She thought about it. She said no. She said he was too dark. But she said she knew he was looking at us because of the way he was standing. I asked her why she hadn't told us. She looked at me with that particular patience that 6-year-olds sometimes have. She said she thought we knew. We packed up and left that morning. I walked the tree line before we loaded the car. The ground was soft near the edge of the site. There were no footprints. Carla and I have talked about this many times. We have not reached an agreement about what it means. Iris has not mentioned it since. If you ask her about it now, she looks at you blankly. She doesn't remember the drawing. She doesn't remember telling me. I still have the drawing. I keep it in a folder in my desk drawer. I don't know why I kept it. I think I kept it because throwing it away felt like deciding something I wasn't ready to decide. 3 people. 3 different forests. 3 things that don't have clean endings. What stays with me every time I read stories like these is not the moment of fear. It's the morning after. The packed-up camp. The long drive home. The feeling of having left something behind that you cannot name. I want to ask you something directly. Have you ever been alone in the dark somewhere, outside, in the trees, under open sky, and felt, with complete certainty, that something was watching you? Not fear of the dark. Something specific. Something with direction. If that happened to you, I'd like to hear about it. Leave it in the comments. Every story on this channel started as a comment or a message. Your experience belongs here. New stories arrive every day. Subscribe if you want them. And if you're camping this weekend, check the tree line before you go to sleep. Not because it will help. Just so you know.